The day has finally come. It is time to teach you how to do the Devil's Elevator. Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is teaching you... let's get rid of the jokers. Today what we're going to be doing is teaching you how to do the Devil's Elevator card trick. This is a really great card trick. It's one of my favorites, so let's go over to the tutorial angle and get the tutorial started. Okay, so just like in the performance, for the tutorial, you're going to only need 8 cards. And these 8 cards are going to be optional, okay? The 8 cards can be, well, let's just talk about the 4 random cards, okay? So most of the time I do what I did in the performance and I use 4 random red cards. But I've also used 4 random black cards, so it's up to you. But just like in the performance, we're going to be using 4 random red cards. And these random red cards aren't exactly random, because you're going to need, you're going to have to think about what you're going to do. So I would suggest you use 2 pairs, so like the 2 red 9s and the 2 red 8s. The reason for this is because when you do like the Umsley count, they're not going to notice if you're using, let's say, a 6, a 7, an 8, and a 9. They're going to notice one of those is missing if they look fast enough. So it's better to use 2 pairs, like 8s and 7s, or 9s and 8s, or 7s and 6s. Those are usually what I go for, and these can be either red or black. But if the 4 random cards are red, then the 5, 4, 3, and 2 need to be black. Okay, so if these are black, the 5, 4, 3, and 2 need to be red. If these are red, then the 5, 4, 3, and 2 need to be black. Okay, so I usually do what I'm doing right now, and I also did this in the performance. I do the 5, 4, 3, and 2 of spades, and the 2 red 8s, and the 2 red 7s. It's just what I prefer and usually do every single time. So now that we've got our setup cards, we don't need the rest of the deck. All we need is these 8 cards. And here is how you do it. So you take your 2 pairs and make sure they're just like this, where the 2 9s and 2 8s are together. It's just going to add a couple subtleties that are going to make the trick a little bit better. And for the 5 to 2 of spades, you're going to want to set them up in this order. So 5, 4, 3, and 2, where the 5 is touching the red cards, okay? You don't want to do it like this, the reverse order, where the 2 is touching the red cards. You need to do it where the 5 is touching the red cards, okay? So now what you do is you spread out the red cards just like this. You spread out the cards just like this, and you show them that you've got 8 cards, and you've got 4 red cards and 4 black cards. And if you're using the 4 random red cards, then the red cards don't matter. It's just, it doesn't matter which color you're using. Just make sure that with your setup, you say the right pattern, okay? So in this case, the red cards do not matter, so I use this hand, so I turn them so they cannot see these cards, so they can't memorize these cards, okay? So I just turn them like this, so the backs of the cards are facing to them, and I show them that this is the 5, 4, 3, and 2 of spades, and they need to remember that, okay? And then you come together just like this, and you have to steal the one of the red cards. So you have to steal it just like this. You just, when you're coming back together, you put your fingers, so you grab that 8, and then when you square up, you, ooh, that was bad. And when you square up, you lift up on the 8 and on the red card touching the 5, and then you lift up and you get a pinky break. So you have a break above all this, and then you just cut at that break, and you have 3 red cards in this hand, and you tell them that that is the red cards, and don't worry about showing this face, because this is an 8. They're 2 8s. That's why you put them together like this. Is they'll remember that if they remember anything, they'll remember that this is an 8, and when you show them that there's an 8, they're gonna think that you didn't do anything. Okay, so now what you have is the 5 to 2 and the random card, okay? So you want to show that like just the 5 through 2. And how you do that is you spread out the cards just like this, showing the 5, 4, 3, and 2, okay? And then you can even hold them just like this, and it's completely clean, okay? And how you do that is you just spread over, and then you don't spread over the 5, because then you'll flash that red card. So you just spread, stop spreading. You can even pick that double up and make sure just don't flash that it's a double. Okay? And after you show, then what you do is you square up and you deal them down like this. You say, this is the 5, this is the 4, this is the 3, and this is the 2. And what you have right here is you have the 2 and the 3. So you hold this as a double, and what you say is the 5 is the red card, what you say is the 4 is the 5, what you say is the 3 is the 4. That is what this trick relies on. You're always one step ahead of the spectator every single time. So, obviously you don't want to show this because that'll give away the trick, but I was just showing you for tutorial purposes. And you show the 2 as a double, so when you deal down like this, and then you stop, and you'll have 2 cards here, and you just flip them over just like this. So that's the 2, and don't flash them. Then just set it right on top of there, and that is what you do, okay? Now you're ready to move on, and you're going to show this, and you say that this is the 2, but it's actually the 3, and the 2 is right there. And then you show that this is the 2, and then you put it right there, okay? So you say that this is the 2, and you're putting it in the second position, and square everything up. You don't need to do anything, you just square everything up. You can set this down on the table. It's completely fair. And all you have to do is just show that the 2 has risen to the top. And now you take what you say is the 3, but it's actually the 4, and you put it in the third position, so 1, 2, 3 from the top. And then you show that the 3 has come to the top. And show that they're coming to the top any way you want. But just be creative and create your own pattern. And don't just boom, it instantly comes to the top, or snap your fingers and it comes to the top. Those are not good examples. Okay, so then you can't do this same thing again because your card is not set up at the top yet. So you have to do what's called an Elms account, which I performed and which I taught you guys in the last video. So you just have to do an Elms account, which I'll be sure to link that in the description and on screen right now. And when you do an Elms account, that brings the 4 to the top. But you don't show that yet. What you show is you putting what you say the 4 is, but is actually the 5, in the 4th position from the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Then you show the 4 comes to the top. Okay, now what you have to do is you can't just do an Elms account because your 5 is not in the position for an Elms account. You can't just show that the 5 comes to the top because the 5's not on the top yet. So what you have to do is you have to reverse count the cards to get your 5 into position to do an Elms account. So what does that mean? You just reverse count the cards just like this, and that puts your 5 in the perfect position to do an Elms account. So now you just do an Elms account, and do this as any way you want. I like to set it down on the table and then show, boom, it's come to the top. And that's the trick.